Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to Edinburgh, and it's been a very long time since I visited this brewery. In fact, the first review I did from them was when they were very new, but I was really impressed at the time. So for this one we're going to do my second review from Out Brewery, and this one is the South Face, which is a red IPA. It comes in at 5.9% and it uses all New Zealand hops. It was rated at 84 on Rate Beer when I checked it out earlier, but I'm really interested to see how this guy turns out. As I say, this brewery have quite a reputation for themselves these days, but if you've watched my Kiwi series of reviews that I did when I was in New Zealand, the hops that you get down there are absolutely incredible. They're completely different from anything you're going to find in America, and I love red beers, and the red ales that I tried down there were something else. So I'm very interested to see what this kind of Scottish take on the style is, so I'm hoping that this will be a very good beer. And Out Brewery tend not to disappoint from what I've heard, so should be an interesting review. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I'll do from Out. Hopefully I can add more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel, and if you're interested in beer from a particular city, state, country or whatever, you can search for it based on that in the channel. It uses a geography tagging system, and please do get in touch and let me know of some other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. Your support and your suggestions on the channel are always hugely appreciated. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Out Brewery. So Out Brewing was founded by Moo Hoopert and Michael Birch, and they were formed in July 2013. Their brew kit was actually bought from Red Willow Brewery down in Cheshire in England, but they're now based in Loanhead, which is on the south side of Edinburgh, if I'm not mistaken. Moo had previously studied biology and physics, and he also had a background in construction, so many of the installations in the brewery were actually built by Moo, but he now keeps many of the different yeast strains that the brewery use, so you are getting something that's pretty unique when you try one of the kind of Out Brewery beers. But Michael is actually German born, and he had a long career as a whiskey retailer. He worked down in London for quite a long time, and that kind of background in whiskey is actually why many of the Scottish craft brewers are doing so well these days. But the brewery was originally going to be called Eclipse, but a last minute objection from an overseas drinks producer actually put an end to that. So they settled on the name Out based on Michael's love of mountaineering, and this is why a lot of the bottles, or all of them actually, feature this kind of ordnance survey thing with all the contours on it, and these are all individual hills and individual peaks and things that you'll see on the things. They all look quite similar just if when you're looking at them at a glance, but they are all unique and from different places around Scotland. But Out actually launched their first beer, which was a smoked porter, and they were assisted in their startup by Steve from Stewart Brewery, and they still work in quite close collaboration with them, and apparently things have been going very well. As I said to you, these guys have built quite a reputation for themselves over the last little while, and you are starting to find their beers outside of Edinburgh. That was one thing I always found difficult with a few of the breweries in Edinburgh, Stewart Brewing being one and these guys being another. It is quite difficult to find some of the Edinburgh craft brewery beers outside of Edinburgh, but that seems to be turning since this brewery have grown a little bit, and they've got deals I think with Aldi and Lidl's to bring their beers out and around through Scotland. So exciting times for this brewery. Just to list the other beers you can get in their core range, there's the Simon Saison, which is one they did with Simon Martin from Real Ale Craft Beer. There's the Staple, the Pale Ale, the Alt Beer, the Schmankerl at the South Face, Copperhead, and also the Cone as well, and they've got various special beers too, but this one apparently is one of their core range, so I guess it's been on the go for a little while. So yeah, this one should be an interesting review. As I said to you, I'm very interested to try this one because I love the New Zealand hops. So yeah, I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. Here we go. Where is it? There we are. So as you can see, it's got that nice kind of contour artwork on it. It says on the back here, it says this one is Bidian Nabian, which is the main summit of a miniature mountain range overlooking the famous Glencoe from the south. Even just driving through on your way to Fort William is spectacular, but the traverse of the massif takes your breath away, especially in the winter. So it tells you a little bit on the back about the beer itself, the company, and also about the hill that's on here. But it says about this beer, South Face is brewed with huge amounts of southern hemisphere hops exclusively from New Zealand. They make for a juicy IPA with lots of tropical fruit notes, and the bitterness is well integrated and moderate. 65 IBUs for such a big IPA. So yeah, this one should be nice. As you can see, the nice artwork on this one. Plain bottle cap on this. Actually, it would be cool if they would put the red letters on the top of that. Actually, that would be quite a nice logo for these guys. But like I say, 5.9%, and the hops in this one are Rakow, Waimea and Wakatu, so it should be a very nice one to try. Let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Oh, this guy didn't want to open there. So you can see a nice smoky opening on this, and we'll get it out and into the glass. And I tell you something, you can smell some of those nice tropical fruits as you're pouring this guy out. So yeah, that's a really attractive looking beer actually. Just set that back down. So as you can see, if I bring the beer over to the light here, you can see it's a nice it's actually quite a dark, sort of a dark almost mahogany colour, I would say. There's a solid finger and a half of a kind of beigey, foamy beigey coloured head on this one. Some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there. But it looks very nice, and you can see if I put my fingers behind the glass there, it's not transparent at all. That is one opaque beer. But let's have a closer look at the aroma of this one then and see how we get on. You can smell it. This is the strange thing about this beer actually. You can smell it when you pour it out, but when it's just settled, it doesn't have such a big aroma to it. You can smell some of the sort of biscuity, slightly caramelly malts coming out of it, and a bit of grassy, maybe floral character, but otherwise it's actually quite a subtle aroma just as it's settled. So we'll sugar it up and see how we get on. And that's when you start to get some of these New Zealand hop characters out of it. There's a good bit of tropical fruit in there. You can pick up a nice sort of apricot-y character, I'd say. There's a bit of maybe passion fruit or something coming out too. That's the sort of notes you would get from the Rakow hop. I remember the Rakow hop being this really kind of crazy tropical fruit thing, and you can definitely get that in here. There was one of the beers I tried in New Zealand that I think it was a single Rakow hopped beer. I forget the name of the brewery now, but the Rakow hop had this really nice, very kind of sharp, lemony citrus and tropical aroma, and you can pick that up in this beer. There's a good bit of tangerine, kind of citrusy note going on in here. Tangerines always smell a little bit sharper than oranges, and from what I remember, the Waimea hop is the one that will give you that. I learned a lot about New Zealand hops when I was down there, and the Waimea is almost like the New Zealand alternative to the Amarillo a little bit. It gives you some really nice kind of some really nice orangey but sharper, more tangerine notes. But you can also get some of the some things from the Wakatu as well. I did have to look up the Wakatu because I hadn't come across that one before, but Wakatu supposedly gives you some nice kind of lemon limey characters, mainly limey, and you can pick up some of that. It's almost like a limey, almost gooseberry character you can pick out in this one. But yeah, you can smell all of the things of the individual hops, and it's got a kind of wet grassy aroma in there as well. But you can pick up the floral character, not so much in the way of pine resin in this one, right enough. More of a kind of big floral and quite wet grassy character I'm getting out of this beer. And some caramel and biscuity malts in there too. But it's got some interesting aromas. As I said, the New Zealand hops are very, very different from the ones you're going to get in America, so pay a little bit of attention to the aroma on this one. One thing I would advise, there's a good website on the internet if you're interested in New Zealand hops. Just type in New Zealand hop profiles and it'll come up on there's a website there that is called New Zealand Hops, and they've got a really good guide as to what all the hops down there will give you, because they're a lot less common in Europe obviously. But that smells absolutely lovely. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma, and on second thought I'm actually getting a kind of red, almost berry, kind of stone fruity thing coming out of this one as well. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer before you get stuck in, but we're going to try it now. This one is the South Face, a red IPA using all New Zealand hops from Out Brewery over in Loanhead, Edinburgh. Slàinte. Tell you something, that's really nicely done. It kind of gives me a bit of nostalgia I think about back when I was in New Zealand, and the red IPA that I had down there. There was a lovely one from 8 Wired Brewery. I think it was called First Blood, and this one reminds me of that so much. These hops, They just taste completely different from the American West Coast red beers, and I love the New Zealand red beers. They're incredible, and this one just gives you a little bit of nostalgia of that. But these hops are lovely and juicy. This is really nicely done. You have got some red berry element to this beer as well, but that's kind of, it's more juicy. It's not quite sharp like you think it's going to be. But it is very, very fruity. This is a nice beer. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So the middle of your palate, where the malts are always going to come out, it's a nice kind of bready character. You can feel that going right across the tongue. It does have a little bit of sweetness, almost like it's a kind of rye bread character, but there's some of that kind of biscuity syrup thing in there that just builds up and gives you a bit of sweetness. But it's definitely a mix between sort of biscuity sweetness and some thicker, almost kind of rye bready character I'm getting out of this one. But of course the focus of this beer is the hops. This is really nice. So you've got a good bit. For me, this is a kind of more floral beer. I'm not so much getting pine resins from this one. This is more a kind of floral, aromatic beer, and you can taste the difference in this one with the New Zealand hops again. The floral aromaticity in this one, it almost has a little bit of a kind of herbally or earthy thing going on actually. You can get a little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate, but for me the floral character in this just has that little bit of dark earthiness to it, and again I think that's the New Zealand hops. I do remember that when I was down there. But this is really nice. Around the front curve of the palate, it's more of a kind of lighter grassy feel that you're getting from this one, and then behind the front curve of the tongue you get that oily bubble that I always talk about, and this is where the fruity aspects of the beer are coming out. And that's an interesting fruit blend in there. There's a sort of orangey citrus in there, but it's not quite as sharp. It is a very juicy orange. You're mixing it with some kind of red fruity berries in there, but there are quite a bit of there is quite a bit of tropical fruit there too. It's not really grapefruit. It doesn't have the kind of almost sour and dark character that grapefruit has in my mind. Yeah, it's more, there's maybe a little bit of passion fruit in there, but not quite. Maybe just a very subtle amount. This is a more juicy tropical fruit thing. It's maybe more of a slightly apricot-y character. Then on top of that you've got these red berries in there, which is quite interesting. But then you've got more of maybe a sort of lychee flavour coming out, I think. Yeah, there's a sort of almost, there's maybe a little bit of kind of gooseberry or something. It's almost, it reminds me of the citra hop a little bit. I'm getting this kind of more juicy tropical fruit flavour coming out. There's a sort of liminess to it, a little bit of almost lychee, and it mixes well with the orange, and those almost red fruity esters that are coming out of this beer are very nice. Just pay a little bit of attention to the little area behind the front of your tongue there, where these fruity characters come out. It works very nicely, I have to say. Yeah, that's a really nice beer. And these fruity characters and the slightly darker elements of the floral character, they work really nicely with the malt base in this one. The malt base just has a little bit of that almost graininess to the bread, and the kind of sweet biscuit elements are very, very nice too. So yeah, this is it's very different from a red IPA that you're going to get from America. These New Zealand hops work absolutely beautifully in this one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this beer again, and I would love to try it on tap. Maybe you'd get just a little bit more caramel out of it, and you'd have just a little bit more sweetness in the malt base there, which would be really, really nice. But as it is, this is a really good beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. These New Zealand hops are wonderful in this one. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this one's mid-bodied. The carbonation is quite smooth, and it does have a good oily mouthfeel to it. That helps bring out the maltiness on this beer. If it leaned too far one way to the malt, or if it leaned too far one way to the hops, this beer would lose what it has. This one isn't punchy in either regard. It's more to do with how the flavours blend together, and that's why I like this one as much as I do. This is a very, very good beer. You've got a nice bit of juiciness from the fruit, you've got a little bit of dryness from the hops, but not too much, and then you've got that nice sweetness in there from the malt base too. It's very, very well balanced, and that is the best part about this beer, I'd say. So yeah, if you want something a little bit different, if you like red beers, I would recommend you have a go at this. Any New Zealand red beer, or any red beer that uses New Zealand hops, I think you're not going to be disappointed with. The New Zealand hops are very highly regarded these days, and for a reason. But Out Brewery have once again shown they can do a pretty damn good beer. So hopefully I can review some more from these guys. Hopefully it's not so long until I review one of their beers again. I can't get them in Sweden, obviously, and they are still a little bit difficult to find in Scotland sometimes. But this is a very, very good beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So, the South Face Red IPA from Out Brewery in Edinburgh. These guys have got a good reputation, so if you find yourself in Scotland, definitely check out them. So they've got some really nice stuff. So I'll hopefully review some more from them fairly soon. But as always, let me know in the comments section below your own thoughts on this beer and the brewery. Always interested to hear from you guys that are watching the video. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out all my usual social media. But most importantly, make sure you try some of the Out Brewery beers. This one is really quite nice. This one hits the spot for me. So until the next time, Slangy just now, and I will catch you soon. We'll return to Out Brewing in the fairly near future. Cheers.